will be the last. Have to suffer. Many more will have to die. Don't tell me why. There's a none out the way they used to be. Will be the last. Have to suffer. Many more will have to die. Don't tell me why. There's a none out the way they used to be. Will be the last. Just bear with me, y'all, while I set up this live stream. Mystic blowing through the air. You will hear. All right, let me go to. Hope everybody is doing well, those that are coming in already. Hold on, let me just go to my videos. Got to set it up. Be the last. Suffer. Many more will have to die. Natural mystic blowing through the air. Subscribers. All right, let me see if I can see the chat. There's a natural mystic blowing through the air. All right, let's see. All right, I see the chat. Hey, y'all. Okay, we got Keegan in the house. Abu, what's up? We got Mystics. Jupiter going wild. What's up? We got King of Wands in the house. Jupiter said, I want to stay, but I have to work in the morning. Oh, well, you could catch the replay. You said thoughts on Drake and Kendrick. Honestly, I think it's all a publicity stunt. I think it's a way for both of them to get paid. Because both of them, well, Drake has always been getting attention, but sometimes, you know, Kendrick Lamar, he don't get too much shine sometimes. But yeah, I think it's more so of a farce, and I think it's mainly a way to get money. But I haven't listened to any of their diss tracks because I'm really not trying to get caught up in the fake drama. But I did hear that what was it? Drake's bodyguard got shot outside of his mansion. So I don't know if they're trying to tie Kendrick into this. But I feel like this is indicative of the quincunx, the natural quincunx that exists between Gemini and Scorpio. So Kendrick Lamar is a Gemini, Drake is a Scorpio. So the fact that they're going back and forth, that's very much indicative of how the quincunx can work. Kenyatta said, I think it's real. Kendrick destroyed Drake. Yeah, I haven't listened to any of the songs, so I gotta take a chance and listen to them. But as y'all can see by the title, is the title on here? This is a sponsored video. It's about Bob Marley, one of the greatest in terms of music. And I'm a big Bob Marley fan, so I'm sure some of y'all are as well. We only got 23 people up in here so far. So it ain't even 8:30 yet. I did come on early just so I could set up the live stream. But happy Taurus season, everybody. Happy birthday to all the Taurus out there. Hope you're enjoying yourself. Hope you're enjoying your birthday, or you will enjoy your birthday if it's coming up. Taurus season has me in very much chill mode. Hopefully it has you all kind of in chill mode as well. But I need to step my game up a little bit. So I plan on doing that very soon. I actually want to start doing call-ins. So if anybody's interested in getting a reading by me live, because I'm thinking about doing it like once a week, and where I have maybe like 3 callers call in, and they have whatever question, whether it's dealing with love, money, career, family, what have you. And then I just provide my advice, do the reading and all that stuff. But you got to be willing to kind of air your dirty laundry. So anybody who's interested in getting a live reading, just send me an email. I'm gonna post my email address in the comments right now. Hold on. It's getting hot. Oh my God. Wellness said, I grew up listening to Bob Marley. I love his music. Yes, his music is universal, let me tell you. And it stands the test of time. Time after time. All right. Jupiter said, I'm not willing to air my dirty laundry out. Well, that is perfectly fine. But for those that don't mind, and again, you don't got to be all like getting all deep into stuff, but some people might want to be on, you know, YouTube and see what other people have to say about like their issue and stuff like that. I think it'd be pretty cool. So I'll make an official announcement later, maybe this month, about it. I don't have it totally worked out yet. Oh, it'll be free, Keegan. So anybody that would like a reading, it'll be free. That'll be part of your payment for signing up for this reading and doing it live will be to kind of be willing to air some of your dirty laundry. So yeah, if you want a free reading, think about signing up. Like I said, like right now, you could just send me an email and tell me that you're interested. But I am going to put out an official announcement for anybody that would like to be in the call-in show and stuff like that. But I think it'd be pretty cool. You said, me, myself, I like brutal honesty. That's what I'm talking about. I mean, that's really the only way to do it, honestly. Or else you're setting yourself up for a bunch of disappointment if you're not being real with yourself or you're not willing to get the real from people. That's one of the things I like about Taurus, speaking about Taurus season. Taurus is one of those signs that's very practical, pragmatic, basically sees things for what they are, not what they could be or what they should be. And that's why Taurus is the sign of advice, because Taurus, again, practical, sensible, sound. That word sound, very Taurus, sound advice. Yes. And that's why Taurus corresponds to the Hierophant card in tarot, because the Hierophant, he's basically that spiritual advisor. He's the one that's sorting things out. He's the one you go to when you have a dispute with someone. But like I was saying to my daughter, Taurus and Libra, they're both ruled by Venus, but there's some key differences between those two signs. And one of the things I was saying about Taurus, which is not that favorable, is that Taurus, and like I was saying to my daughter, I was like, that Hierophant, I was like, he's not impartial. The whole impartiality that comes with Libra. Libra is about being impartial. Taurus can be very partial. Taurus can be very biased. Taurus can be very much about favoritism. So, like how I was explaining with the Hierophant, don't get it twisted. When it comes to those two people that are in front of him, he is favoring one of those people over the other. So one of the people they already have, like they're already at an advantage because the Hierophant, he's a spiritual figure. So let's say you got these two people, they're disputing. One person is following the spiritual doctrine the way they should. The other person isn't. So naturally, the Hierophant is going to favor the one that is following the doctrine. unlike Libra, which again is very impartial, very much about weighing both sides and really hearing both sides out without any prejudice. But again, Taurus is very much about advice. Taurus is very much about helping you to remain grounded. Kawhi, hey Kawhi. Kawhi said us Taurus moons can be greedy sometimes. Yeah, especially with the food. And I always say Taurus moons can be worse than Taurus suns when it comes to like feeling like they don't have enough money or they don't have enough food or they don't have enough this. And that's because that moon is dealing with what you need. All right. So without further ado, we're going to get into this live stream about Bob Marley. All right. So let me share my screen. Now, is there anybody in this chat that doesn't know who Bob Marley is? Who's never heard of him, never heard his music? If you haven't, I feel sorry for you, but you know, now it's time to get educated. Now it's time to catch up. Oh, I was watching that Bad Robot about Shawnee. I think I was it I forgot what channel I was watching where she was talking about Shawnee writing this book and where she says in the book that she wasn't really in love with Shaquille. And I believe what she's saying because first of all, it looked like she's incapable of loving anybody really, maybe her kids, but that's probably as far as it goes. She seems very cold and frigid. But anyway, I believe her. But my thing is, why would you come out and say that now? Like y'all been divorced for how long? But of course, she wants to sell books. She wants to make money. So I'm not surprised she came out saying that she has to have something kind of controversial in the book, or else why would people want to read it? She seems, and for her to be a Sagittarius, because I believe she is a Sagittarius, right? She seems very uptight as a Sagittarius. I never took a look at her chart, but maybe she got something in Virgo or something. But yeah, she seems rather uptight. Kawhi said Buffalo Soldier is one of my favorite songs. Yes, Buffalo Soldier, dreadlock Rasta. He was a Buffalo Soldier, fighting for survival. I love the part where he'd be like, driven from the mainland to the heart of the Caribbean, singing, whoa, yo, yo, whoa, yo, 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 whoa, yo, 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 Buffalo Soldier, trotting through the land. Oh, you might as well say it's a karaoke night because I'm going to be singing some Bob Marley songs now. Fighting on arrival, fighting for survival. Okay, is there anybody in here that doesn't know who Bob Marley is? Because I'm not going to get into this long biography about him. We're just going to get into the nitty gritty. Yes, his music does unite people. Bad Robot, definitely. All right, so I might as well talk about some of my favorite Bob Marley songs now. So, Get Up, Stand Up, that's one of my favorite ones. That's very much about like activism, very hardcore. Most people think great God will come from the sky, take away everything and make everybody feel high. But if you know what life is worth, you will look for yours on earth. And now you see the light. We're gonna stand up for our rights. Oh my God. I love that part. But guess what? Oh no, I'm not even gonna go get ahead of myself. More about that song in a minute. But I love that part where he'd be like, we're sick and tired of your izzy skizzy game, die to go to heaven in Jesus' name, Lord. We know and we understand. A mighty God is a living man. You can fool some people sometimes, but you can't fool all the people all the time. So now we see the light. We gonna stand up for our rights. All right, that one. All right, waiting in vain. I don't want to wait in vain for your love. Oh my God, I love that song so much. I don't want to wait in vain for your love. Exodus. Exodus is a hardcore activism song too. Exodus, movement of your people. Oh yeah. Exodus. Do movement of your people. And then the song I was singing when I first started. There's a natural mystic blowing through the air. Natural mystic is another favorite of mine. Could you be loved? Could you be loved? That's one of his more common popular songs. Then be loved. Don't let them fool ya. Ba-dum bum ba-dum bum bum bum. Ba-da bum ba-dum bum bum bum. Or even try to school ya. Ba-da-ba, ba-dum bum bum bum. And then we got Three Little Birds. Don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing gonna be all right. And then we got Bad Card. Make you draw a bad card, draw a bad card. I want to disturb my neighbor, 'cause I'm feeling so right. I want to turn up my disco. Okay. In a rubber dub style. All right. I'm getting carried away. All right. Pimper's Paradise. Oh my God. Pimper's Paradise. That's all she was, yeah. A pimper's paradise. That's all she was. Every need got an ego to feed. I like when he'd be like, she's getting high, trying to fly the sky. Now she is bluesing when there ain't no blues. All right, next we have Forever Loving Jah. I'm just going through this list to just show you how mega of an artist he was. Like, I mean, I'm just getting started. Forever Loving Jah. Oh my God, I love that. That's from his Uprising album. So is Pimper's Paradise and Bad Card. We'll be forever loving Jah. We'll be forever. Okay, we got Coming in from the Cold. In this life, in this life, in this life. And we're coming in from the cold. Then there's Kinky Reggae. I went downtown. I saw Miss Brown. She had brown sugar all over her booger wooger. I think I might join the fun, but I had to hit and run. See, I just can't settle down in a kinky part of town. Right on. All right, Kinky Reggae. Iron Lion Zion. Oh my God. And there was a video that went along with that. Oh my God. I love that song. I'm gonna be iron as a lion in Zion. Somebody already mentioned Buffalo Soldier. Love that song. Redemption song. Oh, pirates, yes, they rob I. Sold I to the merchant ships. Minutes after they took I from the bottomless pit. But my hand was made strong by the hand of the Almighty. We forward in this generation triumphantly. Won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? 'Cause all I ever had, redemption song. And then, of course, we got One Love, One Heart. Let's get together and feel all right. One love. What about the one heart? One heart. What about the let's give thanks and praise to the Lord, and I will feel all right. I shot the sheriff, but I didn't shoot no deputy. And then what about, is this love, is this love, is this love, is this love that I'm feeling? All right, what about, this is one of my favorites. No woman, no cry. No woman, no cry. Said I remember when we used to sit in the government yard in Trench Town. All right. And then we got Satisfy My Soul. Every little action feels a reaction. Oh, can't you see what you've done for me? I'm happy inside all of the time. Then we got Turn Your Lights Down Low. And then we got Steer It Up, Little Darling, Steer It Up. All right, that was my warm up, y'all. All right, let's get into this. So Bob Marley, Natural Mystic. There's a natural mystic blowing through the air. All right. If you listen carefully now, you will hear. Now, Bob Marley, again, one of the greatest singers, artists, performers, not just in the reggae music genre, but I just say all across the board, because his music is very much universal, very universal. People of all races, nationalities, ethnicities, cultures love Bob Marley. I would basically say he's like the face of Jamaica. So this video has been sponsored by Regine. I don't know if Regine is in here. If you're not, you could catch a replay. So thank you, Regine, for sponsoring this video. Like I said, I've always been a Bob Marley fan from a very young age, but I really started to get into Bob Marley, like his less common or less mainstream songs when I was a teenager, like when I was in junior high and high school, because reggae was pretty popular where I grew up, especially like dance hall, but reggae period. And I grew up in an area where, you know, you had some Jamaicans. I grew up in South Jersey, and then I lived in Philly for a number of years. So I'm no stranger to the Jamaican culture. And man, that brings back memories of Jamaican Mikey. That's what I called him. And his name was Mikey, but he was this Jamaican dude that I was a bit fond of. I forget how I met him. Maybe at some party or something, and because he lived in Camden, New Jersey, which is a rough city. But anyway, that was my first experience with a Jamaican man. And well, I guess he was, I don't know how old. I think I was probably like 16. No, I think I was 17 when I met him. And when I tell you that island love, oh my God, like I was just like, wow, okay. Because there's always been like this saying or rumor about men from the islands, namely Jamaica, how they're great lovers and all that stuff. But, you know, you don't want to really get too close to them because they could end up, you know, cutting you or whatever. You know, you just got to be careful with them. But anyway, there was always this rumor about Jamaican men, how good like lovers they were. And I can basically attest to that and say, yes, that, well, at least from my personal experience, it seems like it's true. I was just like, wow. But anyway, just wanted to put that out there. Jamaican Mikey, shout out to you for introducing me to that island style. Ellie said Jamaican dick is unmatched. Wow. All I'm gonna say is this: he had me all over that room, all over the room. Like I was just like, wow, okay. Talk about, yes, getting your groove back. But I still have my groove because I was young. I was a young little hot thing back then. So, you know, it wasn't like I had to get my groove back. But maybe I need to take another trip down there and get my groove back. No, let me stop. My groove is long gone and I don't want it back, honestly. So here's Bob Marley's chart. He was born in Nine Mile, Jamaica, which is this small town, but I couldn't find it on my software, even after putting in the coordinates. So I had to go with the closest town to 9 Mile, which is Brownstown. But 14 degrees ascendant, that's basically what his ascendant is, 14 degrees Sagittarius. My bad. But as you can see, he has a Scorpio moon in the late degrees of Scorpio. His chart is classified as a B, meaning it's from his biography, so it hasn't been officially like verified in terms of his birth time, but I believe this is pretty accurate. Sagittarius rising, that says a lot about Bob Marley and, just his persona. He has his South Node conjoined to Mars in Capricorn, Mercury in Aquarius, Sun in Aquarius, Venus in Aries, Uranus in Gemini, Saturn in Cancer, North Node in Cancer, Pluto in Leo, Jupiter in Virgo, Chiron and Neptune in Leo. So Regine wants to know. So Regine, the way I did this time around was I kind of threw your questions in different parts of this PowerPoint program or PowerPoint presentation. So here's one of your questions. And I saved one of your questions to the very end of this PowerPoint presentation because I felt like that was a question that needed to be answered at the end. So you said he is a 6 and an Aquarius. Can you shine some light on why he was able to impact the world based on his aspects? So just being a 6 and an Aquarius, you could be loved by many. You could end up being a great artist. You could be very talented. You could have a lot of fans with that 6 Aquarius energy. So with the birth number 6, that deals with music, but also love, like one love, one heart. Let's get together and feel all right. But also love, like his love for women in particular, which he had a big love for women. Money, women, again, and of course, relationships with that 6. His life path number 27 breaks down to 9. 27 is a very fortunate number. It can result in personal acclaim, triumph over trying circumstances, having a warrior spirit, which he definitely did. Being an islander, when you break that 2 and 7 apart, 2 would be nations and 7 would be island. Being athletic as well. He loved to play soccer, or otherwise known as football in other countries. And violent attack. So he was attacked at one point. So I'll get into that as well. What's a white liver? You said I had a white liver in my youth. What's that mean? Or you mean lover? So also Regine wants to know also his mother's influence on him and his women. So here is his mother in her earlier days. So it says at the time of his marriage to Cedella Malcolm, so his meaning Bob Marley's father, an Afro-Jamaican, then 18 years old, he was supervising a subdivision of land for war veteran housing, and he was about 64 years old at the time of Bob Marley's birth. So Bob Marley's father was 64 years old, and his mother was 18 years old. That's very Aquarian. So Aquarius deals with things that are unconventional, things that are abnormal, things that are unique. So him even being conceived was through abnormal circumstances, a 64-year-old getting an 18-year-old pregnant. So Norval is Bob Marley's father. Norval, who provided little financial support for his wife and child, rarely saw them, died when Marley was 10 years old. So the father theme with Bob Marley's chart comes in through Mars conjoined to the Capricorn South Node, because Capricorn rules fathers. So people that have Capricorn South Nodes, it's not uncommon for them to lose their fathers in the early part of their life. I've seen this countless times with people with Capricorn South Nodes. And it can also show that there's some karmic debt involving the father. Father was also in the military, so that's very much Mars conjunct Capricorn South Node as well. So also Saturn in Cancer, the race theme comes into play in terms of his father. And then Mercury in Aquarius, it's ruling the 10th house, which would be his mother. Quincunx Saturn in Cancer, which would represent the issues that she encountered having to deal with his father, especially in terms of the racial theme. But Also, people would mainly talk because of the age difference, but also the race theme too. So here's his father to the right. That's the only picture I could find of him. So that's Norval Marley. And here's Cedella Booker. Well, Cedella Marley Booker. She later married a man by the last name of Booker, and that's how she got the last name Booker. So to answer your question, Regine, I believe that Bob Marley's mother had a rather positive influence upon his dealings with other women to a certain extent. But there was also this detachment that was there as well. And I would think that the mother was rather detached from Bob Marley's father. Like, I don't think there was really any love there. It might have been more so a relationship of convenience, which would make sense because Bob Marley has Mercury in Aquarius ruling that 10th house that's dealing with his mother. Aquarius is dealing with convenience. So I wouldn't be surprised if there was no love between the two of them. So Norval Marley was a white Jamaican born in Clarendon Parish. Norval went by the moniker Captain, despite only having been a private in the British Army. So that's dealing with Mars conjunct Capricorn South Node too. So him going by this name of Captain, but where he was only a private. And that also deals with Venus and Aries in the fourth, the name of his father, what name he goes by, squaring Saturn in Cancer. The singer's parents met in St. Anne Parish, Jamaica, and got married in 1945, around the time Bob was born. They welcomed their son, whose full name was Robert Nesta Marley, on February 6, 1945. Booker and Norval's marriage was short-lived, and they split soon after Bob's birth, due in large part to Norval's status as a white middle-aged plantation manager and Booker's identity as a Black teenager. So that Saturn and Cancer, the race theme, dealing with his father, makes a lot of sense. Now, Bob Marley was quoted as saying, "Because my father's white, my mother's Black. You know what them call me, half caste or whatever," he said. Well, me don't dip on nobody's side. Me don't dip on the Black man's side, nor the white man's side. Me dip on God's side, the man who create me, who caused me to come from Black and white, who give me this talent. So he's giving it all to God. He's giving the glory to God. Hey, sacred artist, we got another diggable planet up in the house. So this statement right here is represented by his sun in Aquarius, sextile Sagittarius ascendant. Both Aquarius and Sagittarius are two signs that really don't have much time for racism. And I'm talking about the signs in general, because of course you can have a person who's an Aquarius, a person who's Sagittarius, they could be racist. But when we're talking about the purity of the signs, both Sagittarius and Aquarius are not racist. They're not prejudiced. They're very much about dealing with people almost like if they didn't have any skin color. Like, it's just like, you're white, I'm Black, big deal. So him basically being neutral and giving the glory to God, which is represented by that Sagittarius ascendant, is pointing to that, showing that he wasn't tied to either race. Now, although it wasn't her initial hope for Bob, Booker spoke about being emotional when she saw her son perform. During a 1993 interview with Roger Steffens, Booker recalled the first time she saw Bob at a concert in April 1976. She said, "That was my first sight of seeing Bob perform. As a matter of fact, it started from the house because he sent a limousine to pick us up," she said. "About 10 of us packed in that car, and then we went there. And even on the way, going to listen to my son perform, and everybody's so excited about it to hear talking all over and things. I tell you, I was excited myself. Oh man, that night it brings joys, it brings tears and everything." Sound like she really didn't have faith faith in him until he rolled up in that limo. But sometimes your parents can be like that. where they might be the last person to believe in you because they think they know you. They think they got you all figured out. But yeah, once he showed up in that limo and basically chauffeured them to the show, she was like, oh, my son is really somebody. Now, that's dealing with Mercury and Aquarius because, again, it's ruling the 10th house. So Mercury and Aquarius ruling the 10th is representing his mother's hopes for him. Like she said, her initial hope wasn't for him to be a performer. So that's Mercury and Aquarius opposing Pluto and Leo, with Leo being the performer. So eventually Bob had to go his own way and say, I know my mom wants me to be like a machinist or a welder or something, but I'm going to be a performer. As for the One Love singer as for who the One Love singer took after, Booker revealed in a 1995 interview with Toyin Adekale that she believed her son was more similar to her. I would say Bob took after me. Yes, I would say that, she said, because most of his actions is, that Christianity way in him. I think he get all that from me, I'm sure. So Moon in Scorpio, sextile Jupiter in Virgo can deal with where he took after her in terms of his spirituality, his religious beliefs. And this is another aspect that basically shows that too, where through his mother, he basically learned how to treat women in a certain way with a certain level of decorum. Bob's music is known worldwide, but Booker also put out 2 albums of her own, a 1984 gospel album called Awake Zion and a 1992 children's album titled Smiling, Island of Song. In her 1995 interview with Adekale, Booker revealed that her mother and sisters were also singers, and it was Bob who convinced her to release music. I wasn't even thinking about singing to the public myself, she said, but as Bob asked me, he said, Mom, I want you to do a gospel album. We started it before he left. Booker added, I live in Miami and all that, so, time run off, and I didn't get to finish. Then after Bob passed, then the Wailers backed me up and then let the dream be a reality because I really, really wanted to do that for him because he asked me to. So again, that's Moon in Scorpio, sextile Jupiter in Virgo. In 1993, Booker conceived and created what is today called the 9 Mile Music Festival, an annual music event held every year since in Miami to help keep alive Bob Marley's message of peace, love, and unity. As part of the admission fee to the one-day music festival, attendees bring canned goods that are collected and donated to help feed the needy in the Miami area through various local charities. So that's very much Moon in Scorpio, especially with the charity part, but also the festival because it's in the 12th house, sextile Jupiter in Virgo, her helping a lot of people. So that's very honorable. This is one of Bob Marley's daughters, Cedella Marley. So Bob's oldest daughter with his wife, Rita Marley, was named after Booker. So the fact that he named one of his daughters after his mother says a lot. That means that, he really valued the relationship he had with his mother. He really looked up to her, really thought highly of her. So in a 2016 interview, Cedella Marley revealed a letter that her grandmother had written her 2 years before. Oh, for some reason, now she is losing. Oh my God, hold on. I gotta update this video because the chat is not playing. How do I do this? Okay. I gotta make sure I'm seeing the chat in real time. Okay. So Cedella Marley revealed a letter that her grandmother had written her 2 years before she died, explaining why she believed Bob passed on her first name. So the fact that he named one of his daughters after his mother, that's Moon in Scorpio, sextile Mars in Capricorn. She said, I'm writing to let you know how I feel. You are my role model ever since you were born. Booker wrote in the letter, according to Cedella, that's why your dad found it in his heart to name you after me, my first granddaughter. We are one of a kind. So Regine also wanted to know, she said, also, if you can, let's look into the beginning of his career with the Wailers. his relationship with Bunny Wailer and Peter Tosh. So here's a young Bob Marley in the center. To the right, we have Rita Marley, his wife. To the bottom, I believe that's Peter Tosh, and I believe that's Bunny to the left, if I'm not mistaken. So here they are right here, Bob Marley and the Wailers. This is when they were just called the Wailers, though. But you know how it'd be with these groups. If one of them is shining, then, you know, the manager might be like, okay, well, let's call it Bob Marley and the Wailers. Same like they did with, oh no, I was thinking Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes, but it was Teddy Pendergrass that basically was the one shining. But they never changed the group's name to Teddy Pendergrass and the Blue Notes. But Teddy Pendergrass just went solo. But anyway, here's the original three. Bob Marley. I think this is Peter Tosh in the middle, if I'm not mistaken, and Bunny on the right. I get the two of them mixed up in terms of how they, hey, Christina, you said make your way to Jamaica at some point. Those men gonna rub you down so good. No, you didn't. And cater to you. No, you didn't. I'm not trying to get pregnant at 48. Hell no. I might have to sashay my way down there one day though. Take a cruise down to Jamaica, maybe Ocho Rios. All right. So here's the charts of Bob Marley and Peter Tosh. Bob Marley's chart is in the center. Peter Tosh is on the outside. So Bob's North Node conjoined to Peter's Saturn and Cancer. This basically shows that growing up together, they got a past together. Bob's Neptune and Libra trine Peter's Uranus and Gemini. So he, Peter Tosh, also claims that he was the beginning of the group and that he was the one who taught Bob Marley the guitar. So Peter teaching Bob Marley how to play the guitar, that's Neptune and Libra. Bob's Neptune and Libra trine Peter's Uranus and Gemini. Bob's Mars can join the Peter's South Node in Capricorn. So this is showing Bob getting more recognition was part of Peter's karmic debt. So they both have Capricorn South nodes. And part of the problem with a Capricorn South node could be that you may feel like you're not getting enough recognition. So with Bob's Mars conjoined to Peter's South node, that's Bob Marley's name. So, you know, again, Bob Marley and the Wailers, that probably kind of hurt Peter Tosh. Hey, NYC, what's up? Bob's moon conjoined to Peter's moon and Venus in Scorpio. So this can represent a very close bond through music. But also, it was rumored that Bob stole Rita from Peter Tosh. From what I read somewhere, and I forget where I read it, but when I was doing my research, somebody said that Peter Tosh was dating Rita Marley first, and Bob snatched Rita up. And I wouldn't be surprised because Bob was a straight player. Bob's Mercury in Aquarius square Peter's Mars in Scorpio. So Peter may have felt that Bob was too tolerant. Bob may have felt that Peter was too intense and controversial. So Peter Tosh, he was more of the hardcore Rastafarian, like, I'm not going to mix too much with these people up at the top type of individual, where Bob Marley, he was more willing to play the game, I guess you could say. Bob's Mars in Capricorn squaring Peter's Sun and Mercury in Libra. Bob receiving recognition as an individual, which is Mars in Capricorn, apart from the group. Peter's complaint that he was being treated unfairly. And you know, fairness is a big deal for a Libra. Bob's Venus in Aries quincunx Peter's Mars in Scorpio. Bob being valued as an individual threatened the bond between them, I suppose, through this aspect. Bob being the moneymaker front man with Tosh playing the supportive role. So again, and especially because Peter Tosh was one of the founding members of Bob Marley and the Wailers. So imagine they're changing it from the Wailers to Bob Marley and the Wailers, even though Peter Tosh, he was the one who was playing, who could play instruments. He was the only one in the beginning who could play instruments. The other two he had to teach. So imagine you're the one teaching them how to play the guitar and stuff. And next thing you know, the person you taught is the front man, is the cash cow, is the money maker. But I do believe that was destined to be. I mean, Bob Marley, he just had that stage presence. He had that it factor. He had that je ne sais quoi that Peter Tosh just didn't have. I'm sorry. After Island Records president Chris Blackwell refused to issue his solo album in 1974, Tosh and Bunny Wailer left the Wailers, citing the unfair treatment they received from Blackwell, to whom Tosh often referred with a derogatory play on Blackwell's surname. So he would call him White Worst. Tosh had written or co-written many of the Wailers' hit songs, such as Get Up, Stand Up. So when I learned that he wrote Get Up, Stand Up, I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense, because Get Up, Stand Up is one of Bob Marley and the Wailers' more hardcore songs. And it's very much about fighting and fighting for your rights. Don't give up the fight and all that. And Peter Tosh has his sun in Libra conjoined to Mars in Scorpio. And that's the epitome of that song. Get up, stand up for your rights. Don't give up the fight. So he also wrote 400 Years and No Sympathy. Tosh went on to start a solo career, releasing albums with CBS Records and Rolling Stones Records. So Bob's Venus in Aries opposing Peter's Neptune in Libra. So Bob Marley had Venus opposition Neptune in his own natal chart. And because Peter Tosh was close in age to him, Peter's Neptune opposes Bob Marley's Venus as well. What that Venus Neptune opposition is representing, with Venus in Aries, Neptune being in Libra, is where Bob Marley is eventually breaking away from this group that he's in, from the band. So that's what happened when these two got together. So next thing you know, they're breaking up. They're going their separate ways, which is showing that this opposition in Bob Marley's own chart is being manifested. Bob's Mars in Capricorn squaring Peter's Sun and Mercury in Libra. So again, Bob getting more recognition than the group, than the band. You might even say with this aspect, Bob could have been more ambitious as well. Like maybe his ambition went further than Peter's. Next, let's get into his relationship with Bunny Wailer. Bob's moon trine Bunny's Saturn. When I saw this, I was like, oh, this is so cute. So Bob Marley and Bunny Wailer, and Wailer is not his last name. He adopted the last name Wailer. But Bob Marley and Bunny, they were friends as boys. Same with Peter Tosh. And then Bunny's father used to teach Bob Marley like music and stuff like that. And then Bob Marley's mother and Bunny Wailer's father, they took a liking to each other and they ended up getting together. They never married, but they did have a child together. I don't think they married, but basically I have it here. Bob's mother marrying Bunny's father, but I don't think they actually got married, but they did have a child together. But this is basically just showing this connection right here, which I was like, that's destiny in the making all day. Now, Bob's moon conjoined to Bunny's Jupiter in Scorpio. Bunny was the main influence over his religious beliefs. So it was Bunny Wailer and Peter Tosh who became Rastafarians first. And then Bob saw that they were Rastafarians, and Bob became a Rastafarian as well. So I believe it was mainly due to Bunny's influence that he became a Rastafarian. Now, Bunny has this hatred of Rita, and I'll get into that more in a minute. So this can point to his growing hatred of Rita, because Scorpio can represent hate, and Jupiter can deal with a growing hatred. Jupiter and Scorpio. Bob's Uranus in Gemini square Bunny's Venus in Pisces. So this represents the breakup, their separation as a band. Bob's sun in Aquarius trine Bunny's Uranus and Gemini. Bob befriends a boy who basically becomes his stepbrother. So Marley's mother and Thaddeus Livingston, who was Bunny Wailer's father, had a daughter together whom they named Claudette. So yeah, they didn't officially marry, but they were living together and they ended up having a child together. So Uranus and Gemini trine Neptune and Chiron and Libra. Venus, ruler of the 11th house, sextile Mercury in Aquarius. So that's like your friend basically becomes your sibling. Bob's Mercury in Aquarius opposing Bunny's Saturn and Leo. Bob's Venus in Aries opposing Bunny's Neptune and Libra. It says Bunny Wailer toured with the Wailers in England and the United States, but soon became reluctant to leave Jamaica. He and Tosh were more marginalized in the group as the Wailers attained international success, and attention was increasingly focused on Marley. Wailer subsequently left the Wailers in 1973. So these aspects are dealing with him leaving the group, and adopted the name Bunny in pursuit of a solo career after balking when Chris Blackwell wanted the Wailers to tour freak clubs in the United States, stating it was against his Rastafari principles. So here's Bunny Wailer much later in life, and here's Rita to the left. And in recent times, it was a few years ago, Bunny Wailer, he was in an interview and he basically was accusing Rita of killing Bob Marley and also killing Peter Tosh. And I'm like, come on now, I don't believe that at all. But basically, he has it in for her, and I think I know why. My bad. So it says Bunny Wailer's hatred for Rita Marley is no secret, but in a new letter published by the reggae legend, he went a step further to accuse Bob Marley of murdering the Jamaican music icon. Oh, they must have left this word out. Accused Bob Marley's wife of murdering the Jamaican music icon. History told us that Bob Marley died from cancer, but according to Bunny Wailer, he died from radioactive ash given to him by his wife Rita and Christopher Blackwell. On May 11th, 1981, Bob Marley died from radioactive ash given to him by Rita, Wailer said. This drug was given to Rita by Lloyd Christopher Blackwell to commit murder. This is the facilitating environment of 1976 to 1980, when the CIA placed an unusually large station in Jamaica, destabilizing the government of Michael Manley and his supporters through the music that would have had the Wailers' Bob Marley as a target. So I'm just like, what? I don't believe this. I think maybe Bunny is a little senile or whatever, but I don't believe that Rita would set Bob Marley up like that. I don't think she would. I don't think she has it in her. What I think happened was when you see Bunny's Venus opposing Rita's Venus, and also his Uranus on her North Node, I'm looking at he probably came to her for money and she probably turned him away, and now he got beef, and now he think, oh, she probably, maybe he really believes this because, again, maybe because he didn't get real, he feels like he didn't get his piece of the pie or whatever. But yeah, I think these claims are outlandish and I don't believe them. But Bob's North Node in Cancer representing Rita, squaring Bunny's sun in Aries. So this can show that he basically has it out for her. Bob's moon conjunct Bunny's Jupiter in Scorpio. So this can deal with that hatred that he has for Rita. Bunny's Saturn conjoined to Rita's sun in Leo. This is him basically placing blame on her. And then again, the Venus opposition Venus, that could deal with where he was trying to get some money from her and she basically turned him away. Oh, and with his Uranus on her North Node, that could deal with he had this sense of entitlement to what she had, especially with her North Node and his Uranus being at the 18th degree. Regine also wanted to know, she said, it's obvious he has many children from different women. Was Rita the love of his life? Here's my response. I said, with Bob's Venus and Aries opposing his Neptune and Chiron in Libra, I don't think she or any woman was the love of his life. I believe she was indeed his true life partner, though, which is a difference. Her Cancer moon in his 7th house, perhaps even his twin flame, with her Uranus and Gemini in his 7th. So he has Gemini on the 7th house cusp, and Cancer begins in that 7th house as well. So her moon is in his 7th, her Uranus is in his 7th. So when you have Gemini on the 7th, there could be a chance that you could end up with your twin flame, or you might feel like they're your twin flame. And then her Uranus would just basically solidify that, being in his 7th house. And then with her moon being in Cancer in his 7th house, that could show that she wasn't leaving under any circumstances, despite how many different women that he had. And that could also deal with her being the matriarch of the Marley clan, which she has been designated as. So basically, Bob Marley was spreading his seed all over the place, having a bunch of children, and he would bring them back home to Rita for her to raise. So Rita wasn't just raising her own children. I believe she had 6 with Bob, or maybe it was 5 children with Bob, and then he had other children with other women, and she would end up helping to raise those other children, which is very Uranus in his 7th house, her Uranus in his 7th, because that could show that she was very tolerant of him. Yep, that Aquarius. Okay, so I'm going to play a little snippet of this video right here. It says Bob the Womanizer. Just 1 second. Now they're saying that, well, there's officially 11 children on record that he had, but I believe he had more children than 11. I believe that he might have had 17 children because his sun is at the 17th degree. I love this picture right here. All right, it'll play eventually. Like, damn. Maybe I need to hit play. Okay.
The natural mystic. This is the story of Bob Marley and the ladies. Like any rock star, famed musician, or celebrity, women surrounded him wherever he went. The fact that Bob was not a one-woman man was common knowledge, says Dan Taylor, even though he had been married to Rita Anderson throughout his climb to the top of the musical ladder. The purpose of this video is to explore the details of Bob's relationships and sexual conquests, his long-standing relationship with former Miss World Cindy Breakspear, and his trysts with other women, and the children that were born out of his many sexual escapades.
Do you have a queen? Not one queen, no, not one queen. This is entitled to more than one queen? Yes, entitled to all queens. Huh?
You see that? He said, I don't have one queen. I have more than one queen. And then he said, I'm entitled, Aquarius. Aquarius is entitlement. I'm entitled to all queens, which is very much that Venus and Aries opposing Neptune and Chiron and Libra. Like, he feels like he should be the exception to the rule in a relationship. And Rita enabled that. So I'm like, but I mean, I'm a realist. Because in this video, in the comments section, a lot of people were condemning Bob Marley for sleeping around with all these women. But I'm a realist, and I just know how the real world works. And if you're a celebrity and you happen to be good looking and you're talented, as a man, it's going to be very easy for you to attract other women. Like, even if he wasn't a celebrity, because he's a handsome man, it'd be very easy for him to attract other women. Add in the fact that he's a celebrity, women are basically throwing it at him. It would take a man that's almost like a god in the flesh to be able to resist these women. Let's be real. He's a human at the end of the day. Me as a woman, if I had all these sexy men coming at me, I probably have a hard time resisting them too. So when you're dealing with somebody who is human like us all, but they happen to be very talented at the same time, I think a lot of times we don't want to look at them as being flawed. But like any man, like any human, he had his flaws. And again, that just comes with the territory. If you ask me, if you're a celebrity and a man and you happen to be good looking, it's going to be very hard for you to resist that temptation to have sex with different women. Now, maybe he should have wrapped it up though and not have all these children all over the place. But he was Rastafarian. I believe they believe in spreading their seed. So he probably used that rationale. But yeah, he basically said he's entitled to all women.
I don't know.
And you know what? I feel like he answered that question in that way because he didn't want to break any of the women's hearts directly that he was dealing with at the time. So on one hand, he's married to Rita, and Rita already knows her place because she has Mars and Venus, I think, in Virgo. So she knows how to stay in her place, especially being a woman back then. But then he had these other women on the side. And I'm sure, these other women, they expressed their love to him and stuff like that. So the way he responded in the interview was very Aquarian, where he was basically being egalitarian with all the women in his lives, and where he was like, no, I don't have one queen, I have a number of them, and basically just saying he's entitled to all women, so not one of his women can feel some type of way about the other woman because he didn't even mention any of them individually. So it's all about a collective for him, which is very Aquarian. Aquarius rules the collective.
Teach them. I must make sure the message I reach them.
Well, the relationship with me and Bob haven't always been smooth, brethren. We have had our fair shares of ups and downs,
You mean Bob had faults? The man on the mission had faults?
Yes!
For those that don't know, that's Rita Marley. That is Bob Marley's wife. So he was only married to one woman, but then he ended up having multiple affairs while he was married. And Rita knew very well that he was having these multiple affairs, and she just accepted it.
He had a lot of faults. He was white like a dog.
You mean a womanizer?
Hey, Earth Angel.
Lots of women.
He had a lot of us at one time. I nearly mad.
Bob's wife, Rita, at 11 a.m. on February 10th, 1966, after dating for nearly a year, Bob married Rita. The couple got married in the home of an Anderson family friend. Bob was 21 and his bride was 19 at the time. Together, Rita and Bob had 5 children, or something of the sort: Sharon, Sidella, Ziggy, Stephen, and Stephanie.
I didn't feel like I was a wife. I felt like I was Bob's background vocal. So there are the things that I would have to remind him, hey, Bob, be careful, watch those girls, watch those this. Then I became the mother hen type. And he would call me sometimes to get girls out of his room. I didn't complain because I felt I was there for the job. And so the relationship became more like I have a commitment to this thing.
Cindy Breakspear, the woman most often linked with Bob, other than Rita and his mother, Sidella, is Cindy Breakspear. A former clerk at the Sheraton in Kingston and a dancer at the Dizzy Disco, Cindy first met Bob when the two became tenants at Chris Blackwell's house on 56 Hope Road during the early 1970s, when Cindy was only a teenager. They occupied different rooms in different areas of the house. Don Taylor asserts that Bob had made many passes at Cindy, but it was not until he became famous and owner of the house that she paid him any attention. Upon first meeting him, Cindy thought, get involved with this dude and he will change my life forever. It is rumored that waiting in vain concerns Bob's waiting for Cindy to accept his offers.
Girls were not having relationships with Rastafarians. So it was definitely a first, considered very shocking.
I don't want Tell me something, Bob. The song Turn Your Lights Down Low. Is me you sing it to her, the white girl?
We had this Exodus album. And he was doing this song that I found that he wrote about Cindy. So when he just met Cindy, and so I said, what? You write that song for Cindy and want me to sing it? I'm not singing. And so I was stubborn.
Coming from an upper class, highly educated background, Cindy was at first reluctant to date a Rasta, but a relationship that taught her a lot about how to be a woman soon developed. Initially, she did not know that Bob was married. It was actually Cedella Booker that first told her of Rita, but by then, Cindy was pregnant with Bob's child. On Friday, November the 19th, 1976, Cindy rose from reigning Miss Jamaica Bikini and Miss Universe Bikini to Miss World, a campaign that was actually financed by Bob. Shortly after, Bob was shot. The following year, Bob spent most of his time in exile from Jamaica with Cindy. Don Taylor believes that Cindy was the only woman Bob ever loved because she was the only woman he ever chased after. Cindy got respect from Bob more than any other woman, he said. Bob bought her a house in the upscale community of Cherry Gardens in Kingston, as well as gave her $100,000 starting capital for her natal craft store. Their relationship continued until his death, though in the final years, the relationship became more of a friendship. One child was born out of Cindy and Bob's relationship, Damien, on July the 21st, 1976 in Jamaica. Up next is Janet Dunn, or is it Janet Hunt? Who really knows? A club dancer, Janet met Bob sometime in the 1970s. Literature on her origins and her first encounter with the king of reggae is nearly non-existent. In fact, there's even a discrepancy over her name. In Catch a Fire, Timothy White credits Janet Hunt with giving birth to Rohan Marley, whereas the Wailer family tree lists his mother as Janet Dunn. Whatever the case may be, little is known of Bob's affair with this woman. Born in May 1972 to Janet, Rohan was later brought by Bob to stay with Rita at the age of 4 because his mother was reportedly not caring for him properly. Next on the list is Pat Williams. In 1970, Bob began a relationship with a woman from Trenchtown named Pat.
You see Bob every day. Bob live on 2nd Street, I live on 1st Street.
And again, sources are conflicting as she's referred to as Pat in Songs of Freedom, but referred to as Lucille Williams in Catch a Fire.
Were Cindy girls attracted to him?
Oh my God. You don't know Bob? That's a handsome guy.
On one particular evening, she approached the naked Bob in the moonlight. There in the yard, she seduced him. Bob was so affected by the tryst that the next morning he wrote the lyrics to Midnight Ravers on a Kingston telephone book. The rendezvous bore a child, Robbie, who was born in 1972. Eventually, Robbie also fell under Rita's care. Next on the list is Janet Bowen. Little is also known of this baby mother. Many sources does not even list her last name, simply referring to her as Janet from England. She gave birth to Bob's daughter, Karen, in 1973. Karen lived in Jamaica with her great-grandmother in Harborview, St. Andrew, where she attended school. Eventually, she became a regular visitor of the Marley clan. Lucy Pounder, a resident of Barbados. Lucy gave birth to Julian Marley on June 4th, 1975. She raised her son in London and often brought him to visit Rita and Bob in Jamaica and Miami. Anita Belnavis. In 1977, Anita, the Caribbean table tennis champion, gave birth to son Kimani Marley. Little is known about this woman. Kimani spent summers with his father and surrogate mother Rita and moved to Jamaica in 1992. Yvette Crichton. Yvette is the last woman with whom Bob is officially recognized as fathering a child. Out of their union was born Makeda Janesta Marley in 1981. By 1992, Makeda was a regular at Rita's house and later became a beneficiary of the Marley estate.
Bob loved women. Like Solomon, that was his weakness. From being a handsome man, women gravitated to it.
There is a slew of other women whom Bob is rumored to have had affairs with. As Sidney Braitspear once said, women were always throwing themselves at Bob's feet. Girlfriend Esther Anderson is indirectly cited in one of Bob's songs. The lovers' favorite hideaway was a fishing village past Negril, and on one evening, the two encountered a roadblock while crossing the island. This was the impetus behind rebel music. Diane Jobson was Bob's attorney, but that is not how her role in Bob's life initially began. She was a fairly typical example of an upper-class woman completely under his control. She was a real uptown girl whom Bob had taken and bred into the Rasta faith in the early 70s, and after he got bored with her, gave her the day-to-day task of being his lawyer, says Don Taylor.
God, John, yes, he was faithful to John. Faithful to any one woman? No. But somebody want him? That's so Western me. You could only handle one woman at a time, or could handle more.
Pascaline, the daughter of the president of Gabon, was interested in Bob. In Reggae King of the World, the author describes her as a woman he was to woo and conquer, and with whom he had one of his last serious affairs. Yvette Morris can be listed as another girlfriend. Don Taylor credited her and Alan Cole as aiding Bob in several important business decisions. Bob openly dated and had sexual relations with three of Cindy Breakspeare's friends during the time he was with her. Those sisters, Virginia and Nancy Burt, did not seem to mind sharing their lover. In 1977 in London, Bob was linked with Princess Yashi, the daughter of the oil minister of Libya, described as having a smooth olive complexion and the stride of a thoroughbred. The two frequented London clubs.
For all the years that you were married together and Bob was having these relationships with other women.
I became his guardian angel. By that time, I was past the surface of being just a wife.
Yet, Bob still preferred to be surrounded by as many women as possible. There are countless other unknown women with whom Bob had affairs, but their identities may never be known. Altogether, Marley had 11 legally recognized children, but some relatives estimate that he fathered as many as 22. The greatest reggae artist of all time certainly kept a busy sex life. Perhaps several early signs foretold this aspect of his life. His mother, Sidela Booker, once told him, "Your father is the cause of plenty grief and travail." Perhaps, like his father, Bob also caused the mother of his children grief and pain.
But then I found out he had kids. I didn't know I was in this relationship that he was married and kids all over the place and whatever. It's quite absolutely flabbergasted. I said, how can you, a young boy like you, have so many children? I didn't know that he had many more.
About the lack of clarity regarding Bob's affairs, Timothy White once said, "No one who was connected with Marley, no matter how intimately, had a complete picture of the man." The network of restricted confidences that Marley developed over the years was extensive, encompassing business arrangements, extramarital affairs, daily comings and goings, and songwriting collaborations. Yes, Bob Marley fathered many children and had numerous lovers, yet he held himself financially responsible to the children that were born from his sexual encounters. Marley's legend lives on, be it through his children or his music and positive messages. Gilly Gilbert, Bob's cook, says whatever Bob do more right than wrongs.
Do you think that he was being selfish?
Yes, it's not fair to no woman. That is not fair at all, but we still couldn't hate him for it.
Yeah, well,
This video was made possible through the continued generosity.
All right. So again, take somebody like Bob Marley. At the end of the day, he's a mere mortal like us all. It's going to have some flaws. This is a man that has Sun in Aquarius, Venus in Aries, Moon in Scorpio. That combination, when it comes to dealing with women, it would be almost impossible for him to be faithful, even if he was a regular guy. So just add in his celebrity, his talent, good looks. Yeah, I mean, he basically did what his chart basically built him as. So on one hand, I don't like the fact that he like basically messed around on all these women, but on the other hand, that's who the man was. And somebody had mentioned monogamy. Oh yeah, Caudices. I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name right, but you said monogamy is not natural but a social construct. That's something to really consider, because on one hand, I agree with you, especially in terms of the way men are wired. But on the other hand, I'm just like, I just know what a lot of men, especially modern men, are capable of, or maybe I should even say incapable of. And a lot of modern men, they struggle to even take care of one child with one family. So when men go out there and they start creating multiple children with different women, and basically they're creating multiple families. And most men, they can't handle it. They can't take care of all those children and make sure their wife has what they need, wives or girlfriends or whatever. And then even sexually, I think it's takes an extraordinary man to keep multiple women satisfied sexually. Now back to Bob Marley having Venus and Aries. Men that have Venus and Aries, they're very much attracted to new women, new things, new women. So he could love his woman at home, but some new woman pops up on the scene and he's all, salivating and stuff. So again, the fact that he's Sun in Aquarius, Aquarius being a very liberated sign, a sign that you really can't hold down, and then Venus in Aries, coupled with that Scorpio moon. A lot of men with Scorpio moons, they have a hard time being faithful. But that Scorpio moon is also representing Rita, especially with it being in the 12th house, because that can be a woman that's rather permissive and where she understands she has to share her man with others. Some women, they just rather have a comfortable lifestyle and reap the financial benefits of being with a man like that instead of having that monogamy and trust and all that type of stuff. And I believe Rita came to that conclusion early on dealing with Bob. She knew she couldn't change Bob with him being a willful Aquarius. So she was like, okay, if I can't beat him, I'm going to join him. And little known fact, Rita actually ended up having an affair while she was married with Bob, and she had a child outside of the marriage, which Bob later adopted that child. So they basically had what you would consider an open marriage. He was cheating, she ended up cheating. They both had children out of wedlock, and they're all just raising them as one big happy Marley family. So sometimes it works out for some people, but you could tell in the interview that Rita still didn't like the fact that her husband was running around. And you heard the part where she said that he would ask her to get the women out of his dressing room. And again, it takes a woman that can be strong minded, but also have a healthy sense of detachment to even deal with a man like that. Like, I know I couldn't. I would not be able to share my man. But Rita has Sun conjunct Pluto in her chart, as you can see here. And that could deal with where you do got to share your man with other people. And basically, she just came to that conclusion at some point and was like, I'm not going to fight it. And she ended up becoming a very rich woman as a result, because she became the executor of Bob Marley's estate. She ended up being the one in control of his finances and all that. So, but again, I don't know if I don't know if the money is worth having to deal with all these different women being with your man and having to take care of a bunch of children that aren't even yours. But you could see, like, she has Venus and Mars and Virgo. And there was one part of the interview where she was talking about, yeah, I just became his background singer. I worked for him. And that's that Virgo, Mars and Virgo, Venus and Virgo. She knew how to basically stay in her lane. She knew her plates and she played the role. And again, at the end, she's reaping the financial benefits. And with that Venus and Mars and Virgo, that could show she was very much about keeping the books and like managing the finances and stuff. You never know. Bob Marley could have went broke if it wasn't for her, because he was just all, having that kinky reggae life, just converting all over the place, having children all over the place. So it was probably due to her that he was able to maintain a sizable fortune. All right, so here they are right here. with some of their children, 3 of their 5 children. Damn, you got Sun conjunct Pluto and Jupiter. Well, that can deal with where you get with a very powerful man. Open marriage or marriage of convenience. That's what I'm seeing them basically having with Bob Marley's Mercury in Aquarius, ruler of the 7th house, because he has Gemini on the 7th house cuts, which means Mercury's ruling it. It's in Aquarius. Aquarius is the sign of open marriage and also a marriage of convenience when it's ruling the 7th house. So he had Mercury in Aquarius, trine Chiron and Neptune in Libra. That's basically where you marry somebody and y'all have an understanding. Y'all have this agreement, this unspoken agreement, like, okay, you do you, but you just make sure you bring that money home. That's basically it. So I'm seeing it basically where it was a marriage of convenience for the both of them. But I do feel like Rita did have, well, I felt like they had love for each other, but it just wasn't that type of selfish love. It was that type of love where, you know, more on the tolerant understanding. I know you got needs, and, you know, I got needs too. So I'm going to go, you know, get somebody to scratch my itch and all that type of stuff. And let's not forget, she was an integral part of his musical career because she was one of his backup singers. So she was always there. So it would have been very hard for him to hide the cheating anyway. So Regine also wants to know, she said, why is Cindy so vocal? So Cindy is Cindy Breakspear, one of Bob Marley's baby mamas. She gave birth to Damian Marley, you know, the dude that sang Welcome to Jam Rock. So why is Cindy so vocal and wants the world to know about their relationship? So Cindy's sun is in Scorpio at the 24th degree, and that 24 does deal with relationships. It deals with love, relationships, and money. But with Scorpio, this is basically showing she doesn't want to be viewed as insignificant. She wants to be viewed as somebody that has some degree of power and influence, and she got it through her relationship to Bob Marley, which is represented by that 24th degree. And this just shows that her sun was conjoined to Bob's moon. So this can show that they did have a rather close relationship when they were together. Mercury in Scorpio, and it could just show that, you know, she became one of his children's mothers. Mercury in Scorpio square Bob's Pluto in Leo. So her Mercury in Scorpio is squaring Bob's Pluto in Leo. This is basically Cindy realizing that she couldn't fully satisfy his sexual needs. I don't know if y'all heard, but in the video, the man said that he was having sex with some of Cindy's friends. So realizing that she couldn't fully satisfy his sexual needs, he made her extremely jealous. Capricorn North Node in Bob's first house. Basically, this shows where she needs recognition, a sense of accomplishment, so she will always reference him, even though they weren't married, as evidenced by her Cap North Node squaring his Venus in Aries. You're probably like, you would always be a side chick. Her Capricorn North Node opposing his Saturn in Cancer. His South Node conjunct, her South Node could join to his Saturn. Her recognition lies in being one of the mothers of his children. So even more so than being Miss Jamaica. So she was Miss Jamaica at one point, but that's not even enough recognition for her. Where she really gets the recognition is through being one of Bob Marley's baby mamas, and justifiably so. I mean, I'd be singing it to the rooftops too, from the rooftops too. I'd be like, you're the lady who Bob Marley. But I'm like, I feel like she earned the right to basically tell her story. Here they are right here, looking all happy and in love. But he's thinking right here, I got to get back home to Rita. Rita probably calling. I used to love those visors. They had these visors back in the day that they were like translucent, and they came in different colors. That's one of the bigger ones though. Yep, he got with her friends too. Bob Marley was spreading himself around, but like I said, with the combination he got going on in his chart, Sun in Aquarius, Venus in Aries, Moon in Scorpio, I'm not surprised. So here's the chart of him and Cindy Breakspear. I'm not going to really delve all deep into it. Here's Bob Marley during his younger years. It says some sources state that Bob Marley's birth name was Nesta Robert Marley, with the story that when Marley was still a boy, a Jamaican passport official reversed his first and middle names because Nesta sounded like a girl's name. So if that's true, that would be represented by Venus and Aries squaring Saturn and Cancer. Saturn and Cancer would be the immigration official or the passport official, and that Venus and Aries would be dealing with his name, having a girl's name, basically. Marley began his professional music career in 1963 after forming the group Teenagers with Peter Tosh and Bunny Wailer, which after several name changes would become the Wailers. So the fact that his group went through a number of changes, it's dealing with Sun in Aquarius, semi-square Venus in Aries. Though raised Catholic, Marley became interested in Rastafari beliefs in the 1960s when away from his mother's influence. After returning to Jamaica, Marley formally converted to Rastafari and began to grow dreadlocks. And I say Aquarius rules dreadlocks, but Aquarius also rules braids. It rules any type of hairstyle that is unique or that is just different. So even like bleach blonde hair, that's Aquarius, but braids, dreads, locks, twists, that's all Aquarius. So he's like the poster boy for Aquarius. Sun in Aquarius, ruler of the ninth house. So Sun in Aquarius in the third, ruler of the ninth, sextile Sagittarius ascendant. That's him basically changing his religion. So he's considered one of the pioneers of the genre. So that's Venus and Aries in the fourth house. Was renowned for his distinctive vocal and songwriting style. That's Mercury in Aquarius, sextile Venus in Aries. Marley's contribution to music increased the visibility of Jamaican music worldwide and made him a global figure in popular culture. That's his Mars in Capricorn in the second house, ruler of the 12th, trine Jupiter in Virgo, him being a global figure. That's very much dealing with that. The Wailers released an additional 11 studio albums after signing to Island Records. The band's name became Bob Marley and the Wailers. So again, the fact that he was set apart from the other two and became Bob Marley and the Wailers, that's Venus and Aries, opposition Neptune and Libra. This shows that this was destined to occur. It shows that he was destined to be a front man. Satisfy my soul. Satisfy my soul. Satisfy my soul. All right. Over the course of his career, Marley became known as a Rastafarian icon, and he infused his music with a sense of spirituality. That's Mercury in Aquarius, trine Neptune in Libra. Was controversial in his outspoken support for democratic social reforms. He also supported legalization of cannabis and advocated for Pan-Africanism. That's Mercury in Aquarius opposing Pluto in Leo. Especially in terms of the was controversial in his outspoken support for democratic social reforms. Mercury in Aquarius, trine Neptune in Libra, that's him being an advocate for cannabis, supporting the legalization of it. Don't let them fool you. Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba-da-da-da. In 1976, Marley survived an assassination attempt in his home, which was believed to be politically motivated. On December 3rd, 1976, 2 days before Smile Jamaica, a free concert organized by Jamaican Prime Minister Michael Manley in an attempt to ease tension between two warring political groups, Bob Marley, Rita, and manager Don Taylor were wounded in an assault by unknown gunmen inside Marley's home. Taylor and Rita sustained serious injuries but later made full recoveries. Bob Marley sustained minor wounds in the chest and arm. The attempt on his life was believed to have been politically motivated, as many felt that Smile Jamaica was actually a support rally for Manley. Nonetheless, the concert proceeded, and an injured Marley performed as scheduled 2 days after the attempt. The members of the group Zap Pow played as Bob Marley's backup band before a festival crowd of 80,000, while members of the Wailers were still missing or in hiding. So this is dealing with the T-square in his chart that involves Venus and Aries squaring Saturn and Cancer. Venus is opposing Chiron and Neptune. Saturn is squaring Chiron and Neptune. Also, he has a yacht in his chart that deals with this attempt on his life as well. This is Cancer North Node, Sun in Aquarius, Sagittarius ascendant. That Sagittarius is representing the politics that basically he got caught up in and where it almost cost him his life. And also Mars conjoined to the South Node. Just having Mars conjoined to the South Node can show that at some point in your life, you're going to be dealing with some type of violence. And this also deals with involvement with government officials. So in this case, that Manley, the Jamaican Prime Minister, Michael Manley. Marley relocated to London, and the group embodied their musical shift with the release of the album The Best of the Wailers. So the fact that he moved to another country is North Node in Cancer, because Cancer rules nations. Quincunx Sagittarius ascendant. Sagittarius deals with foreign nation, foreign affairs, long distance travel. And the quincunx could show that it took a while for him to get adjusted to the new home he was in, being in London. So I don't recall them talking about, maybe there was one woman in that video where they talked about she was, yeah, I think she was in London. But again, I'm thinking he probably had an upwards of like 17 or more children than the 11 that's been officially recorded, because he spent time in London. So he probably has some kids in the UK, in various places. He probably got some kids in the United States and some kids in Jamaica and elsewhere in the Caribbean. I wouldn't be surprised if he did, like I said, had 17 or more children, especially with that sun at the 17th degree. And then children, that is, but then in terms of pregnancies, might have been upwards of 30, because some of these women probably had abortions and miscarriages. But on the other hand, when people die young, I think sometimes they want to live their life like, how some souls, they just have this feeling that they're going to die young. In Bob Marley's case, maybe that was what was going on. Maybe that's why he was trying to achieve that one love with all these women. But maybe because his soul knew that he didn't have much time. But again, it was just opportunity all over the place to have these affairs. And he took advantage of every opportunity, it seemed, or nearly every opportunity. The group began to gain international attention after signing to Island and touring in support of the albums Catch a Fire and Burning. Wait a minute. Okay. So just the name of these albums, Catch a Fire and Burning, is very much dealing with Venus and Aries, trine Pluto and Leo. So I just wanted to throw that out there. He was a very good looking man. Very good looking man, but the type of man that would frustrate the hell out of you. Because again, with him being an Aquarius, he's not bending to your will. You got to bend to his will. It says Marley's maternal grandfather, Omariah, was known as a Mael, was a source of early musical influence for Marley. So that's Pluto and Leo, ruler of the 12th, trine Sagittarius ascendant. Marley left Jamaica at the end of 1976, and after a month-long recovery and writing sojourn at the site of Chris Blackwell's Compass Point Studios in Nassau, Bahamas, arrived in England where he spent 2 years in self-imposed exile. So his self-imposed exile is represented by Venus in Aries opposing Neptune and Chiron in Libra. Here's Bob Marley and the Wailers. Bob left school at 14, and Booker, his mother, encouraged her son to pursue a trade instead of music, according to the artist's website. He worked as a welder's apprentice until an incident where a small steel splinter became embedded in his eye caused Bob to quit and focus on music. So that is representative of that T-square he has in his chart. Venus in Aries, square Saturn in Cancer, Venus opposing Chiron and Neptune in Libra, and Saturn in Cancer squaring Chiron and Neptune in Libra. So that T-square resulted in the injury to his eye, which caused him to stop working and focus on music instead. The Wailers were scheduled to open 17 shows in the US for Sly and the Family Stone. After 4 shows, the band was fired because they were more popular than the acts they were opening for. So this is dealing with that T-square again. So again, where they are outshining or outperforming this group, the people they're supposed to be opening for. So that's represented by Venus and Aries opposing Neptune and Chiron and Libra. And then they're being axed, Venus square Saturn. The Wailers disbanded in 1974 with each of the 3 main members pursuing a solo career. So again, I spoke about this opposition dealing with at some point in his life, he would be going solo, or he would be basically the front man and they playing a backup role. So at one point, Bob Marley lived in the United States in the state of Delaware, where his mother was living. So in 1966, Marley married Rita Anderson and moved near his mother's residence in Wilmington, Delaware, in the United States for a short time, during which he worked as a DuPont lab assistant and on the assembly line as a forklift operator at a Chrysler plant in nearby Newark under the alias Donald Marley. So Saturn in Cancer in the 7th house, that's him relocating to be with his mother. 7th house is the house of relocation. Uranus in Gemini in the 6th house, forklift operator at Chrysler plant with Gemini ruling cars. Neptune and Libra in the 10th, him being a lab assistant. Neptune rules labs. And this is just to show you, like, this shows you that somebody as great as Bob Marley, in the beginning of his career, he was working as a forklift operator, a lab assistant. I think he had a brief job as a welder. So this just goes to show anybody, if you are trying to make it somewhere in life, like if you're trying to make it big or you're trying to do something big with your life, but you might be working like a low-level job at the current moment, never give up. Don't ever give up on your dreams. Don't ever give up on your aspirations, because things may seem hopeless and dismal now, but you never know when you're going to get your lucky break. You never know when somebody's going to come into your life and give you that leg up. You never know when your luck is going to turn around for the better. So don't give up on your dreams. Don't give up on your goals. I'm telling you, I'm a living witness to the power of perseverance, hard work, patience, and dedication. I'm still not where I really want to be yet, but I've come a long way. And again, it's because even when times were hard, I never gave up. I continued to move forward and continue to strive for what I wanted to achieve. So never give up. Keep on moving. Keep on moving, don't stop. No, keep on moving. And then Jupiter and Virgo in the 10th house, that's representing him working on an assembly line. So again, you could have a job, you could be in a job right now that you absolutely hate and where you feel like you're not getting no respect, you're barely getting any money, you're barely making ends meet. But again, your life can change. Things can always change. There's always opportunities out there. So never give up. Thank you, Moonlight. But for real, it's like the evils that be. They want us to just give up, throw in the towel, be strung out on drugs and be, all liquored up and not loving each other and always fighting each other and all that. If you notice when you look at the news, it's mostly negative. Most of the stuff we come across on a daily basis is pretty much negative. So it's easy to succumb to that negativity and give up and say, you know what? Like, for instance, I come across videos and I try not to even like read like the headlines too much. I try to quickly scroll past it, but I'd be seeing videos where like it'll be people saying the American dream is dead, or my life is hopeless, or I don't have any friends, I don't have any family. And I'm just like, okay, well, you could try to do something about it instead of sitting on YouTube complaining. But yeah, I see quite a few like videos that are focusing on like negative stuff. And even though this country, the United States, for those who live here, it seems like it's going to hell in a handbasket. I feel like we still have some hope. I feel like there's still a chance for people to become successful. It might be harder than it was back in the day, but I feel like there's still a chance for people to make it, for people to become successful, for people to achieve their dreams within reason, that is. Oh, you said I got that Bob Marley chakra activated. Pisces Moon said, I hate those I don't have friends videos. Yeah, I'm like, well, okay, what is the purpose? Do you want us to like feel sorry for you? Do you like what are you hoping to accomplish by making a video like this? If you don't have friends, get out and make friends. Like, join some group so you can have friends, be friends with like-minded people. Like, it's not that damn hard. I think people who are like that, they expect everything to come to them. And sometimes you have to go out there and make things happen. So if you don't have any friends, you can't be sitting at home and just expect some friends to appear out of thin air. You got to go out, you got to mingle, you got to join groups, you got to get into activities. And through that, you're going to meet some friends eventually. So the I3s, consisting of Judy Mowat, Marsha Griffiths, and Marley's wife Rita, provided backing vocals. So the fact that he had backup singers, including Rita, his wife, and he named them I3s, that's his Venus at the 3rd degree of Aries, 3rd degree, there it is, opposing Neptune in Libra. I just thought that was cute. I3s, and then his Venus is at the 3rd degree of Aries. I love this picture of him with his arms stretched out like that. He had nice muscle tone. That's because he stayed active. He was always playing soccer. I like this picture of him too. He seemed like a very pensive man. And I believe what that one person said in the video that I showed, where they were like, nobody really knew Bob Marley fully. And I believe that's true. And he probably didn't know himself fully either, as evidenced by this quote that I posted. You'll see it in a minute. So here he is with the I3s. It says Marley had his international breakthrough with his first hit outside Jamaica with a live version of No Woman, No Cry from the live album. Oh my God, I love No Woman, No Cry. No woman, no cry. Come on, little sister, don't shed no tears. No woman, no cry. Oh man. Said I remember when we used to sit in the government's yard in Trench Town, observing the hypocrites as we would meet with the good people we meet. Good friends we have and good friends we lost along the way. Okay. So Moon at 27 degrees Scorpio trine Venus at 3 degrees Aries. So that's a dissociative trine, but that's basically representing that song No Woman, No Cry, how it became popular. Moon in Scorpio, especially with that moon in the 12th house. Because 12th house, that's the house of tears. That's the house of sorrow. So by him saying no woman, no cry, him trying to give her hope, that's Moon in Scorpio, sextile Jupiter and Virgo. No woman, no cry. Oh, I love that. And here's one of my favorite albums by Bob Marley, Uprising. So Uprising, released in 1980, was Bob Marley's final studio album and is one of his most religious productions. It includes Redemption Song, Oh Pirates, yes they rob I, Forever Loving Jah, We'll be forever loving Jah. Confrontation, released posthumously in 1983, contained unreleased material recorded during Marley's lifetime, including the hit Buffalo Soldier and new mixes of singles previously only available in Jamaica. Jamaica, Jamaica. That was the shit. Welcome to Jam Rock by Marley's son Damien. He put that shit down. Now, Sun in Aquarius, sextile Sagittarius ascendant, that's basically Uprising, the Uprising album, which just shows he went out with a bang. He had so many hits. Now, he was arrested in 1968 after being caught with cannabis, but continued to use marijuana in accordance with his religious beliefs. So Saturn in Cancer, square Neptune in Libra, that's him being arrested for marijuana. Of his marijuana usage, he said, when you smoke herb reveal yourself to you. All the wickedness you do, the herb reveal itself to you, your conscience. Show up yourself clear, because herb make you meditate. It's only a natural thing, and it grow like a tree. Marley saw marijuana usage as a vital factor in religious growth and connection with Jah, and as a way to philosophize and become wiser. So Moon in Scorpio, sextile Jupiter in Virgo with that moon in the 12th house. That could show he was very much consumed with herb, and not even just the way it made him feel, but more so like he was convicted about it, because Scorpio deals with convictions. Like you are convicted about your love for the herb. Mercury in Aquarius trine Neptune in Libra. In this case, Neptune's ruling herb because Neptune rules intoxicants. Marley had many children. Three were born to his wife, Rita. Why are they saying three? Oh, so, okay, that's what it was. So they had 3 children together. And then Rita had a child before she got with Marley, which he adopted. Then she had a child outside. I mean, she had a child while she was married to Bob, which he later adopted as well. And then he had other children from other women. And Rita was basically the matriarch for all of them. But again, it's been 11 reported children. I think he's had more children than that. Now, those listed on the official site are Sharon, born November 23rd, 1964, daughter of Rita from a previous relationship, but then adopted by Marley after his marriage with Rita. Sadella, born August 23rd, 1967, to Rita. Wait, let me just say this real quick. The whole thing where he's adopting someone else's child, like another man's child, very Aquarian. Because again, Aquarius doesn't have this like possessiveness thing, or I'm not taking care of some other man's child. Case in point, I got a story to share with y'all. So when I was in high school, I had a friend, this Aquarius dude that I used to date briefly. But anyway, one time, this chick, she ended up becoming pregnant, and she was the neighborhood hoe, or she was the town hoe, you could say. Everybody done rode on top of that thing. And it was rumored that she would allow guys to run trains on her and stuff, right? And my Aquarius male friend, he was one of the dudes that was involved in one of the trains, or maybe he did a number of times with this chick. I don't know. But basically, she was the hobby horse of the neighborhood. So when she became pregnant, of course, no dude wanted to claim that baby. But the Aquarius male friend I had, he was the one who claimed that baby as his. And I don't believe that child was his son, because that boy looked nothing like him. And my Aquarius friend, he had very strong features, meaning he had very strong genes, which I know would have translated over or transferred over some of them to that little boy. And again, that little boy looked nothing like him. And he knew that boy wasn't his real son, but out of the kindness of his heart, he basically claimed that child as his and was taking care of him like that was his son. So again, that's a very Aquarius thing to do. Bob Marley adopting Bob Marley adopting these children that weren't his biologically. Sadella, born August 23rd, 1967, to Rita. David Ziggy Marley, born October 17th. Now, Ziggy is the one, he came out with the group Ziggy Marley and the Melody Makers. Tomorrow, people, where is your past? Tomorrow, people, how long will they last? All right. Stephen Marley, born April 20th, 1972, to Rita. Robbie Marley, born May 16th, 1972, to Pat Williams. Rohan Marley, that's the one that Lauryn Hill ended up having children with. Born May 19th, 1972, to Janet Hunt. Karen, born 1973, to Janet Bowen. Stephanie, born August 17th, 1974, from an extramarital affair that Rita had with former soccer player Owen Etal Tacky Stewart. Nonetheless, Bob adopted Stephanie as one of his own and entitled her to his estate. So again, that's very Aquarius on his part. Julian, born June 4th, 1975, to Lucy Pounder. Kaimani, he's the one that played in Shatas. Born February 26, 1976, to Anita Belnavitz. And then Damien, welcome to John Rock, born July 21st, 1978, to Cindy Breakspear. So all of the children that he had, that's the 21st degree of Aries on the 5th house cusp. That 21 can deal with a large number. When it's on the 5th house cusp, it could deal with a lot of children. And then Mars in Capricorn, trine Jupiter and Virgo, that's basically him perpetuating himself through all these different children, with Mars ruling that 5th house. And supposedly, according to that video, he took care of all of them, or at least tried to the best of his ability. So that's very much Mars trine Jupiter. And also he had Pluto and Leo trine Sagittarius ascendant. That too can deal with a lot of children. You basically extending your genetic makeup, your bloodline bar. So here's a picture of Bob Marley's children, all here. But again, I believe he probably had more that we just don't know of. Oh my God, stop playing, Kawaii. Ziggy did the theme song to Arthur? You know, Arthur has a special place in my heart. You know why? Because my oldest daughter, she loves Arthur. Like she grew up with Arthur. And even as an adult, I don't know if she still watches Arthur, but when she was like in her early 20s, she was still watching Arthur. And I used to wonder if she was, you know, something was a little wrong with her. But I get it. She was very much about like, it took her back to her childhood. I think it would calm her. It would have a calming effect. But you're talking about, and I say, hey, what a wonderful kind of day where we could learn to work and play and get along with each other. You got to listen to your heart. Your heart. Oh my God, I never knew that, Kawaii. Thank you for sharing that tidbit of information. Yo, that was the song. It's a special feeling that comes from the heart. Oh my God. Yeah, that's the place to start. And I say, hey, hey, what a wonderful kind of day. Look, that's the only time I would stick around for Arthur, and then I would get lost once the show started because I really wasn't a fan of Arthur. You know, when you're a mom, speaking of mom, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. Happy Mother's Day, early Mother's Day. For some, it's already Mother's Day, so happy Mother's Day to all the mothers. But yeah, there was some cartoons that I would watch with my children, and then others I would get lost because I'd be like, I can't stomach this. Arthur was one of those shows that was kind of annoying to me, except the beginning of the show, the theme song. I love the theme song. So yeah, you brought back memories. Oh my God. Wow. And I say, hey, hey, what a wonderful kind of day. Another show that I used to love the intro to, but I didn't like the actual show. Gullah Gullah Island. Come and let's play together in the nice sunny weather. Let's all go to Gullah Gullah Island. There was a few of those shows where I loved the theme song, but then when the actual show would play, I'd be like, all right, let me go wash the dishes. But yeah, some of the theme songs, they be hitting like, yeah. Wow. Moonlight Orange said Arthur is still good to this day, a treasure of a show. And what did they have? Mr. Ratburn. And what was that white bunny's name? What was the name of the white bunny? I forget. Buster. I think his name was Buster. And then the girl, I forget her name. But yeah. And don't get me started on the other one. My kids, and I think every kid loved this show. Of course, it was well after my time. But my kids loved SpongeBob. So this is always in my head. Like I can't get this out of my head. Are you ready, kids? Hey, Captain. I can't hear you. Hey, Captain. Well, who lives in a pineapple under the sea? See, because I guess Mother's Day is tomorrow. I'm now reminiscing about when my kids were young. But yeah, they love some SpongeBob. Oh my God. It's SpongeBob. I've watched some episodes as an adult. I have to admit, SpongeBob is funny as hell. Oh my God. There's some episodes where I was actually on the floor. So yeah, really good memories. Me and my children watching these shows together and stuff like that. The girl's name was Muffy. DW. That's what her name was. DW. Yeah. You like Pepper Ann? Oh man, I can think of a number of those songs that like Caillou. I'm just a kid who's 4. Each day I grow some more. I like exploring. I'm Caillou. Oh my God, that was so sweet. Yeah. And then my oldest daughter, she used to love the Powerpuff Girls too. Sugar, spice, and everything nice. Oh, what other shows? Then my Pisces daughter, she loves shows like Drake and Josh, iCarly, the Mighty Bee. The Mighty Bee was funny as hell. When I would watch it with my Pisces daughter, that little girl on that cartoon was goofy as hell. And then my oldest daughter, she like grew up with the Nickelodeon, like Hey Arnold. Why am I going off on a tangent? What? Oh, this is your fault, Kawaii. Telling me about the Arthur and Ziggy Marley. But Drake and Josh, iCarly, what was the other one? My kids really didn't get into like That's So Raven because they really weren't Disney kids. Because that was the Disney Channel, I think. They were more so Nickelodeon. That's So Raven. Oh, I remember Cow and Chicken. Cow and Chicken was a crazy ass show. Mama had a chicken. Mama had a cow. Dad was proud. He didn't care how. That line alone is just a bit too questionable for children. Even Stevens, I remember that. Fairly Odd Parents was another show my kids used to love. They used to love Gumball, I think it was called. Um, what else? Arthur. Of course, Rugrats. My oldest daughter loved Rugrats. That was another show that was annoying to me. Even the theme song was annoying. Oh, and back in the way back in the day, she used to like Barney. Oh my God, Barney was so annoying. He was such a, what would you call Barney? Barney was such a, ugh. But most parents did not like Barney, but we had to sit and watch it with our children. Oh yeah, I remember Dexter's Laboratory. Yup. And there was another one I really liked watching with my kids. Trying to think. No one what this is when they were a little bit older. Oh, I remember Clarissa Explains It All. My oldest daughter like that. And what's the other one with Amanda Bynes? Is it called Amanda something? The Amanda Show? What was the show with Amanda Bynes? But then when they got a little older, they liked stuff like Adventure Time. That was kind of crazy too, that show. Ren and Stimpy. I remember Ren and Stimpy. Ren and Stimpy was pretty good. Hey Arnold, move it, football head. Oh yeah, all that. All that was the shit. Oh, oh, this is all that. Yup, that was the shit. What else? Man, many good memories of when my children were young, just watching TV with them. Oh yeah, I remember Robot Chicken. That was kind of questionable too. That was like on Adult Swim, wasn't it? I remember Adult Swim would blow my mind when I would see like those bumpers in between shows, and Adult Swim started to become more and more satanic looking. And then they started putting out shows like the one with the dog, and like it was real weird. And then they had shows like Squidbillies and stuff. Oh yeah, I remember Cat Dog. Oh my God, you're bringing back memories. I remember Two Angry Beavers. Yup. What happened to TV? Like TV used to be popping back in the day, even when my kids were young. I remember the Magic School Bus. What other ones did they have? While I'm thinking, y'all keep the list going because I'm gonna. So here's some of Bob Marley's sons. I think that's Rohan Marley to the left. That's Damien. I'm not sure what Marley this is, and I think this is Stephen Marley or maybe Ziggy Marley. I'm not sure. Moonlight said I didn't have cable. Oh, you like the Devil Show? What show was that? Oh yeah, I remember Doug, but I never could really get into Doug. Doug always made me feel a little sorry for him. So here's the movie shots. Here's Ziggy Marley and the Melody Makers. So again, Kauai just told me that Ziggy Marley's responsible for the Arthur theme song. I was just like, wow. Remember, now I'm gonna take y'all way back in the day. Remember Reading Rainbow? Man, that's when they really cared about kids and education and stuff. A reading rainbow, I can do anything. Take a look, it's in a book, a reading rainbow. That was the shit. Quality television. I remember Recess, but I don't really remember my kids getting into it. My oldest daughter, she loved Cousin Skeeter. Yep. Oh yeah, my daughter loved Sister Sister too. Was that the one with Tia and Tamara? Sister Sister. Oh, and then remember the Parkers. My oldest daughter loved the Parkers. Yes, Reading Rainbow. Oh my God. Wonderful show. Here's Damian Marley, Junior Gong. Welcome to Jam Rock. If you haven't heard this song, check it out. It's really good. So here's Lauryn Hill and Rohan Marley. You know, Rohan Marley basically took after his father with being kind of a philanderer and basically put Lauryn Hill through hell, or maybe she put herself through hell dealing with him because she should have known what she was getting into dealing with one of the Marley brothers. But anyway, I don't think they ever married, but she ended up having like 6 kids with this dude. And she ended up going crazy in the process. But I think she's coming back to her senses slowly but surely. Last time I saw her perform, she looked semi-normal. Here's Bob Marley playing soccer, which he was known to do quite often. Aside from music, association football played a major role throughout his life, as well as playing the game in parking lots, fields, and even inside recording studios. Growing up, he followed the Brazilian club Santos and its star player Pele, and was also a supporter of English football club Tottenham Hotspur and Argentine midfielder Ossie Ardiles, who played for the club for a decade beginning in 1978. Marley surrounded himself with people from the sport, and in the 1970s made the Jamaican international footballer Alan Skill Cole his tour manager. He told a journalist, "If you want to get to know me, you will have to play football against me and the Wailers." So him being athletic, very much Pluto and Leo trine, Sagittarius ascendant, and Venus and Aries trine Pluto and Leo. Two of the cars that Marley owned were BMWs, a 1602 and then an E3 2500. He purchased these because of the name. He said BMW stood for Bob Marley and the Wailers. How clever. So that's represented by his Mercury and Aquarius. Mercury rules cars, sextile Venus and Aries. Aries deals with names. And lastly, Regine wanted to know, she said, there seems to be some conspiracy with Bob Marley's death and an unknown doctor that treated him. Is there snitching in his chart that reflects his death or someone trying to kill him due to his large influence? So I decided to do a tarot reading to see if he died of melanoma, which was the official cause of death, or was he murdered? Because either way could play out in his chart, because he has that T-square, which is representing that attack, that ambush in his home, which could have resulted in his death. It just so happened that it didn't. But then on the other hand, he has aspects in his chart that represents the melanoma. So since either one could have occurred through looking at his chart, I was like, let me consult the cards to see what the cards say. So did Bob Marley die of melanoma or was he murdered? So I'm doing a 4-card reading. First card is the situation. So the Knight of Cups is just representing the situation involving people's suspicion, basically. The second card, which is representing the challenge, is the Hermit. And the Hermit card does represent health concerns. And card number 3 is basically the answer or advice. And I got the Justice card. And once I saw the Justice card, I was like, to me, that sounds like he basically died of natural causes, because justice is very much about cause and effect. And basically, the melanoma was the cause and the effect being his death. And then we have 9 of Pentacles, which basically can mean that he had completed his sojourn on Earth and he returned back to the source. Basically, he served his purpose. He did what he was supposed to do, and he left behind some valuable gems for us. So basically, I believe that he did die of melanoma instead of being murdered. At one point, I did wonder if he was murdered, because anytime any major influential person is dies, I do question the official story until I look further into it or whatever, because, there is this thing about sacrifice. And sometimes if you're rich and famous and very talented and stuff, some people may see you as being more valuable being dead than alive. But in this particular case, I think because of the justice card in particular, and also this hermit, that it was a result of his melanoma. And with the justice card too, it can also show that maybe he wasn't really being attentive enough when it came to that melanoma, like just making sure that he stayed on top of things and getting treatment, that he ended up having to die an early death. And there was times where he did go against his doctor's advice. So it says in July 1977, Marley was diagnosed with a type of malignant melanoma under the nail of his right big toe. Contrary to urban legend, this lesion was not primarily caused by an injury during a football match that year, but was instead a symptom of already existing cancer. He had to see 2 doctors before a biopsy was done, which confirmed acral litiginous melanoma. Unlike other melanomas, which usually appear on skin exposed to the sun, acral litiginous melanoma occurs in places that are easy to miss, such as the soles of the feet or under the toenails. Although it is the most common melanoma in people with dark skin, it is not widely recognized and was not mentioned in the most popular medical textbook of the time. So the fact that he had this melanoma, which is basically skin cancer, that's dealing with Mars, ruler of the 12th house, conjoined to the South node in Capricorn, because Capricorn rules the skin and also the nails. So it's opposing that North node in Cancer. So this just shows that more than likely this was something that might have came from his family, could have even came from his father's side of the family, and where he ended up succumbing to it. Now, Marley rejected his doctor's advice. So this is where I'm saying the justice card may have came into play, where maybe if he would have allowed the doctors to, try to give him certain treatments, maybe he could have prolonged his life. But then again, I feel like when it's your time to go, it's your time to go. Marley rejected his doctor's advice to have his toe amputated, which would have hindered his performing career, citing his religious beliefs, and instead the nail and nail bed were removed and a skin graft was taken from his thigh to cover the area. Despite his illness, he continued touring and was in the process of scheduling a 1980 world tour. So the fact that he went against doctors' orders, the doctor is represented in this case by Chiron, Venus opposition Neptune and Chiron in Libra. That's Venus, him being obstinate, being hard-headed with his Venus and Aries, saying, no, I'd rather perform. Mercury in Aquarius opposing Pluto in Leo caused him also to go against what the doctor was saying, and because he wanted to perform. In 1977, Marley was diagnosed with acral litiginous melanoma. He died as a result of the illness in 1981, shortly after baptism into the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. So another aspect that deals with the cancer, the skin cancer, is Mars in Capricorn, sextile square Uranus in Gemini. With the Uranus, that's bringing some type of abnormality to the skin. And then the Chiron could join to Neptune in Libra. Neptune rules the feet, including the toes. So this deals with basically the wound or the lesion that was found on his toe. And again, it was under his toenail. So it could have been going on for a while and he didn't realize it. And that's why this type of cancer, from what I learned, because I had to do some research on this type of cancer, that's why this type of cancer can be particularly deadly, because usually when they find out that you have it, it's a bit too late, because the wound or the cancerous part has already grown to a level where now it's starting to spread throughout the body. So this is taken from a website dealing with health. It says acral litiginous melanoma, also sometimes referred to as ALM or simply acral melanoma, is melanoma occurring on the hands and feet, palms, soles, fingers, toes, and nail units. The word acral derives from the Greek word referring to the highest or topmost portion of the limbs. It is most commonly on the lower extremities and is often advanced at the time of presentation, leading to a high level of morbidity and mortality. It has a higher proportional incidence in non-white populations compared to other subtypes of melanomas. In this article, we will discuss the unique aspects of this disease. So I didn't include all the extra stuff, but I just wanted to provide explanation of why this disease progressed so rapidly in him. Like basically it was already like growing to the point where it was hard to treat. And when he refused to get that toe amputated, that just made things worse. Now, Ellie asks, is cancer the sign of cancer? Well, that's an interesting question because the sign cancer will come up in times where a person has cancer, but cancer doesn't necessarily equate to cancer, the disease, if you get what I'm saying. But the disease cancer was named after the zodiac sign Cancer. Why? Because this doctor, when he was studying cancer cells, he said that these cells are very tenacious, just like a crab. And that's why he coined the disease cancer. So yes, cancer is very related to the zodiac sign. The disease cancer is directly related to the zodiac sign Cancer, but there's other signs that can contribute to cancer, such as Sagittarius and Aquarius. But yeah, I was just talking to one of my students the other day about that relation between the zodiac sign Cancer and the disease cancer. So some people that end up having cancer do have cancer in their chart because of the name alone, if you get what I'm saying. But that's a good question, Ellie. Now, okay, so I already read that part. So this last section of this reading, I'm just posting quotes from Bob Marley, and then I discuss the aspects in his chart that pertain to these quotes. So the following quotes that I'm about to show are related to his Venus in Aries opposing Neptune and Chiron and Libra. So all of these quotes that I'm about to show are dealing with this opposition right here. Now, he said, if she's amazing, she won't be easy. If she's easy, she won't be amazing. If she's worth it, you won't give up. If you give up, you're not worthy. Truth is, everybody's going to hurt you. You just got to find the ones worth suffering for. So the fact that he said everybody's going to hurt you, that's very much that Chiron and Libra influence in this opposition. And then you got to just find the ones worth suffering for. Find the ones, that's Venus and Aries. He also says some people feel the rain, others just get wet. That's very much dealing with this opposition. One good thing about music, when it hits you, you feel no pain. Better to die fighting for freedom than be a prisoner all the days of your life. So going back to that other one about when it hits you, you feel no pain. Venus is representing the music. The Neptune can act as a numbing agent where you're numb, you don't feel anything. You know, it can act as a sedative, something where you don't feel anything, you're unconscious. And then Chiron would be the pain. So numbing pain, you feel no pain with the music. Better to die fighting for freedom than be a prisoner all the days of your life. So the Aries is the fighting. The prisoner is represented by the Neptune influence. He said, I don't stand for black man's side. I don't stand for white man's side. I stand for God's side. And again, that's him being a Sagittarius rising, especially with his sun in sextile to the Sagittarius ascendant. Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. That's from Redemption Song. So that is dealing with his sun in Aquarius, sextile Sagittarius ascendant. Herb is the healing of a nation. Alcohol is the destruction. So Moon sextile Jupiter is representing the statement about herb is the healing of the nation. Saturn square Neptune, that's representing alcohol is the destruction. With Saturn in Cancer, Cancer representing nations. The biggest coward of a man is to awaken the love of a woman without the intention of loving her. So that's Venus in Aries opposing Neptune and Chiron in Libra. So this goes back to what he said in that interview about how he doesn't have just one queen, he has a bunch of queens, and he feels like he's entitled to all women and stuff like that. And I was saying part of the reason why he answered in that way was he didn't want to hurt any of the women's feelings he was dealing with at the time. So this quote kind of speaks to that. But I think sometimes Bob Marley was a bit too idealistic, where he's thinking that he's keeping all these women he's dealing with happy, but they're not happy because they can't have them to themselves. So this quote, the biggest coward of a man is to awaken the love of a woman without the intention of loving her. I think sometimes he was like that himself, where he was awakening the love of women, but he really didn't have any intention upon actually loving them. So he should have took that to heart himself. He said, when you smoke the herb, it reveals you to yourself. That's Venus in Aries opposing Neptune in Libra, with Neptune representing herb. He said, my music will go on forever. Maybe it's a fool to say that. But when me know facts, me can say facts. My music will go on forever. So that's his Venus in Aries, trine Pluto and Leo. Basically, this is representing music, which is transcendent, transcending space and time and all that. Me only have one ambition, I only have one thing I really like to see happen. I like to see mankind live together, black, white, Chinese, everyone. That's all. And again, that's his sun in Aquarius, sextile, Sagittarius, and ascendant. Like if we just had those two signs in the world, there would be no racism. But unfortunately, we got to deal with the other 10 signs. So unfortunately, we got to have racism and sexism and all this type of stuff. She may not be the most popular or prettiest, but if you love her and she makes you smile, what else matters? That's his Mercury in Aquarius, trine Neptune and Chiron in Libra. And that is a very Aquarius thing. Aquarius doesn't get too hung up on looks. And I'm talking in general, that is, because of course you'll have some Aquarius that are very much into looks. But Aquarius is that sign that can basically love somebody or be attracted to somebody and not be attracted to their physical features, but like be attracted to their mind or the way they smile or the way they do certain things. Bob Marley isn't my name. I don't even know my name yet. So that's dealing with that T square involving his Venus and Aries. I went deep inside myself. I had time to explore my beliefs, and because of that, I'm stronger. That's his moon in Scorpio, sextile Jupiter in Virgo all day. He said, I wish we were all hippies and did yoga, lived in cottages, smoked weed, accepted everyone for who they are, and listened to wonderful music. I wish money didn't make us who we are. I just wish we could redo society. So that's his Mercury in Aquarius, trine Neptune in Libra, but also that's very Sun in Aquarius, sextile Sagittarius ascendant as well. It is better to live on the housetop than live in a house full of confusion. Well, not a quote off a book, but still my favorite. So that's dealing with that T square, where he's saying it's better to live on a housetop than live in a house of confusion. Living in a house of confusion would be Venus in Aries opposing Neptune with his Venus in the 4th house. The most beautiful curve on a woman's body is her smile. And again, that's Mercury in Aquarius, trine Neptune in Libra. He was basically just saying he could love any woman. But yeah, that basically concludes my reading on Bob Marley. I think for the most part, Bob Marley was a really good dude. I think he was like so talented in terms of his writing and singing, and but his dealings with women, that was like definitely his shortcoming. But I feel like he still was able to manage it to the best of his ability, because you didn't really hear any stories about women fighting each other and stuff. But again, that's more of the Aquarian way, to have a communal type of existence, to basically have people come together even if they have differences. And from what I heard, like, Rita was getting along with some of his other baby mamas too. So I don't even think it was that much animosity between them, or at least Bob Marley was able to have it where they respected him enough to not create any, drama. I'm sure, alone at night, they might have been cursing each other out and stuff like that. But for the most part, I feel like most of the women in his life, they basically respected the fact that, okay, this is this man, he's extraordinary. He, has his ways about him where he can't just be with one woman, and I just have to accept that about him. But maybe as time went on, maybe things could have got messy, but his life ended before he could, create any of that baby mama drama. But it seems like he really didn't have any, which is quite commendable considering all the women he did mess with. But yeah, and really nobody really has anything bad to say about him aside from his womanizing ways. So with that, I say, well done, Bob Marley. And again, we all have our shortcomings, we all have our flaws, and he was just very flawed when it came to living a monogamous lifestyle in terms of being married. But again, Rita knew about it. I don't think she was okay with it, but she learned how to accept it. She learned how to basically play her role, play her intended role in his life, and ended up with the big bag at the end of the day. So I say well done to Rita for maintaining class and dignity throughout it all, and basically being that devoted wife. I know I couldn't do it. Takes, like I said, it takes a strong-minded woman to be able to deal with a man like that and still keep on smiling. But such is life. But yeah, oh, his father died when he was 10. I'm not sure what he died of though. But yep, and like I was saying, Pisces moon, Bob Marley with his Capricorn South Node. I know of a number of people who have Capricorn South Nodes who lost their father early in life, like to an early death. So that's not uncommon with Capricorn South Nodes. And oftentimes the father is part of the karma. So that's why I was wondering if the melanoma came from his father's side, and that was part of Bob Marley's karma through his father. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. But anyway, I gotta run, but hopefully I could be back next Saturday with another live stream. I'm trying to get like better with this. I'm trying to become more consistent, but bear with me. I'm a Sagittarius. It's not easy for me to like be consistent and put out videos every week and stuff, but I'm really trying. I got 2 transits going down right now that's basically telling me that it's time to start doing some things differently. And one of the things I want to do differently is be more consistent and do at least one live stream every week. Some weeks I may not be able to do it if I got a lot of readings to do, but I do want to be more present on YouTube. Same, just in all areas on social media, because I'm just not a social media person, but sometimes you got to force yourself. So I just want to say just forgive me for not being as present as I would like to be, but I'm going to be changing that. So stay tuned for that. And like I said, I do want to do live readings. So if anybody's interested, you could send me an email. My email's in the description section. And what I would do is basically whatever questions you have, I would answer it during a live stream, and it would be like a call-in show. So you would be on the line, I would be on the line, we would be talking. So you don't have to use your name. You can use the alias or whatever if you don't want to, give out, like if you don't want people knowing your private information or whatever. But this would be a free reading, and we would do it via a live stream, and the chat would be going, so you would have to be comfortable with seeing people chatting about your situation and stuff like that. But if you're open to it, send me an email and let me know. because I'll be doing that really soon. And I'll put out an official notification about the live readings. And I would like to do that at least once a week. Maybe on Sundays I could do live readings and maybe do three callers each video. So yeah, that's just something to consider if you would like a free reading. All right. So again, I just want to wish all the mothers happy Mother's Day. And I hope you enjoy your day tomorrow. And to all the Taurus, happy birthday to you. And I'll be back soon with some more videos. I got a few more sponsored videos for y'all, so stay tuned for that. Some of them will be dealing with aspects. So I love the videos that deal with aspects because a lot of people will have the aspects that I'm talking about. So that can really help you to gain understanding of how that aspect can play out in your life. So stay tuned for that. And I'm out. Peace, many blessings, much love. Thank you